Good morning, Derek. That's funny. You're already saying good morning to Bill. You too. You two kids. That's funny. Hi, Bill. I beat you here. Good morning, Hayes. HB, Justin, Jesse James. Jesse ran out of trains. Cat Meowzilla. Good morning, Monica. There she is. Good morning, everybody. Should have a little less weepy Pops this morning. I actually got a little bit of sleep last night. I just crashed. Good morning, Aaron. What's this now? Pops and a family men had to get up way early to fix. Gotcha, Aaron. Gotcha. Paranoid goats. I don't know what there's to be paranoid about, because goats are cool as could be. Good morning, Mark. It was nice to see your wife yesterday, Dawn. Good morning. Wait, what's that? Was that Mark's wife? Wait a minute. Yeah, I think that was Mark. Good morning, Vaggie. Who was it yesterday? Whose wife was Dawn? Thought that was... Help me out here. Somebody help Pops out. There it is. It was Mark's wife. Good. Pops isn't completely gone. Thanks, Herb. That's right. Good job, Pops, for remembering. Yeah, that was sweet of her. It's cute when husbands and wives are at least paying attention to what the other one's doing. You can't appreciate that more from having counseled so many couples that neither of them know what the other one's up to. Oh, that's very nice, Monica. Good for you. Thank you for the report. That's great, Mark. Honestly. Do we really know? Okay, so you are paranoid. Not just of goats. So you're not paranoid just of goats. I get it. You got it, nerdy. We see ya. Justin the Flower got the joke. Good morning, Gypsy Love. Good morning, Tribal and Greenie. Who am I missing? Anybody? No. Got everybody. Good job. Mark, that's the way to serve. Good job. Nothing wrong with service. Good morning, everybody. Justin, I have to get over myself once in a while. Mr. Phillips Mernon. G. Mernon. Carnivorous. I was hoping to see you here this morning because of the post you put on the IG group chat. Bro, you found Amanita Muscaria in your yard. Good morning, Mushy. Carney, that looks like Amanita Muscaria to me. I'm kind of like Derek Anderson, though. Read up real big about Amanita Muscaria and its effects before you think about it. Before you think about ingesting. It has some... There's a guy in Russia that is the hugest proponent in the world about it. And then there's other people that are scared of it. Like, I'm not sure I'm ready to take it. You think it looked too orange, Herbie? I can't believe that you're actually getting that growing in your yard. I'm pretty sure it looked very much like Amanita Muscaria to me through the picture. You know who you should send a picture to? Nerds. You're our resident foraging expert. Nerdy, go to the IG group chat if you don't mind sometime today and take a look at the picture that Dan Singleton put on the IG page and tell him what it is from what you think it is. Okay, it's on the IG page, nerd. Niffer, that's crazy. I always think of Amanita Muscaria. I gotta go and hang out with a reindeer to find it. But you guys got it popping up in your yards. Be careful with the juice. It certainly has usage, but you gotta be careful with it. Okay? Read up on it. I'm not the biggest expert. I've never actually seen it in person. I don't have it yet. Nerdy says it looks like Amanita Muscaria to him. Pops, Monica is in the Ohio Valley Cannabis Cup. Wish your luck. Good luck, Monica. I'm sure you're going to do great. There's no doubt. Yeah, there's a process for it. Read up on it, Carney. It has... Yeah, I mean, it has a very big indigenous following, that's for sure. But there's also side effects to it that sound scary. We were reading about it here about a month ago. So take a quick look at that. I remember my first thoughts about it was, boy, this stuff sounds like it could be great, but it could be dangerous. Nerdy found 3 last week. You guys are finding them all over the place. Okay, you're only one. You eat your fruits raw. When you say that, do you mean dry raw or wet raw? Which do you mean? And a suggestion to you is lemon tech. Do a little... just put lemon tech in Google, LEMON space TEK, lemon tech. And that's a way to make your shrooms go down easier. Okay? So read up about lemon tech, one. And then also, what I've been known to do is I eat a banana. I'll eat a banana before I chew a shroom, and it helps me immensely. HB is recommending ginger. I don't even like ginger regularly. So look at banana tech and lemon tech, and you'll find, it might hit, I don't know, it sounds like his tea's hoping it hit too though, Paranoid. Okay? I'm not a big fan of ginger. I only take ginger when someone forces me to because they think I'm sick. And they go, oh, well, take some ginger. I'm like, I gag it down. Good morning, Divine Laura. That's another one. Justin's got a chocolate too. But then you kind of have to do a whole different approach. You guys are liking the ginger out there. Okay. God, Pops, Kim, that's a good one. Growing up, you're absolutely right. Ginger was a turnoff. It was like, stop, ginger. Who can be sexy on a desert island? Stop trying to sex up Gilligan. Okay? Just do what Mary Ann does. Be wholesome. Paige, you're with me? I'm not a huge fan. Not a huge fan. I didn't even like the TV show Gilligan's Island. It was just too goofy. Laura, there's an emoji for it. It's just too goofy. Gilligan's Island. I thought I was just a little too smart to watch that show. Until the professor made something out of a coconut. That was the best part of the show. When the professor would make something out of a coconut. But not my favorite show. Paige liked it. I always thought Bob Denver was a little too unbelievable. Okay. Joe D's my first. Oh gosh, I'll tell the story. Here we go. Good morning, everybody. No, I'm not going to tell the story. No, I'm not going to. I love women. Redheads. The professor was the original MacGyver. That's correct. Paige, the zaniest I could get was the Marx Brothers. The zaniest I could get was the Marx Brothers. Joe D's. Redheads are gorgeous. No question about it. I'm not going to tell the whole story, but I'll tell this part. 8th grade. There was a girl in our class named Tammy. I won't tell the last name. Tammy. She sat in the desk in front of me. Red as redhead could get. Red as they get. And I'm going to say she wasn't the prettiest girl in the class. Based off of society's vision of pretty and what an 8th grader would think. So from my perspective, and maybe some of the other guys in the class, I'm not picking on her. This girl had a massive... Is that true, Niffy? That's cute. This girl had a massive crush on me. Massive. She would leave love notes on my desk. She wouldn't even watch the chalkboard. Half of the class, she would be turning around staring at me. And I'd like poke her with a pencil. And I'd say, turn around. Pay attention to what's happening up there. And she would for about 4 minutes, and then she'd turn around. It was so off-putting. And then everyone in the class is, oh, Tammy likes. I was teased inordinately out on the school playground. Pops and Tammy sitting in a tree. Kissing. I start turning as red as her hair. Every time they did that to me, I'd turn as red as her hair. You guys remember when we used to do that to each other? So-and-so and so-and-so sitting in a tree. Why do we have to sit in a tree? Why couldn't we be in the back seat of a car? Okay. Gypsy remembers. I don't understand why we had to sit in a tree, Woz. Higgs, help me out. Get me out of the tree. I don't want to be up here with Tammy. Okay, so because of that, first comes love, then comes marriage. That's right, Wozzy. Then comes baby in the baby carriage. Oh, God. Oh, my goodness. I can't believe we remember that one. Do they still do that one? You guys with kids, young kids, do they still do the kissing one in trees? Give me 1 or 2 replies. Do we still kiss in trees in grade school? Do we? Do we or don't we? And it was because of Tammy. Okay, it was because of Tammy that I'm like, I can't do a redhead. Okay. No, Joe doesn't think a kid under 18 has ever heard that one. Okay, Greenie says, nope, my kids don't do it. Oh, that was funny. I don't think they do it. Monica! Monica's so-and-so and so-and-so were in an abandoned crack shack. Oh, that's funny. I think you're right, Greenie. I think when they go out to I don't know, but when they go out to the playground now, do they just grab their phones and they just go on their phone? Does a kid even play dodgeball anymore? When was the last time your kid got smacked by a dodgeball? Okay? In an abandoned crack shack. Good morning. I wish our kids still did that. I wish they still teased the hell out of each other. No, I don't. No, I don't. But I'll tell you what. Phones have been banned from public school. That's great. That is great. Ice cream, I don't have any. No. Gypsy, didn't you love dodgeball? I was a dodgeball pro. I almost went pro. You couldn't hit me. I was always the survivor. Boom, boom. Pops had moves. Pops, he could make a move. I wasn't as good at picking other people off, but you couldn't pick me off. Okay? We used to play paper tag in the neighborhood. It started up. Do you remember papers were delivered at one time? There were actually paper boys. I was one. You had the bags hanging off of your handlebars, and you had all your newspapers. You'd have to go down to the corner and get the stack of newspapers, and then you had to wrap them and put the rubber band on, and if it was rainy-ish, you had to put them in a plastic bag. And then you'd fill your bags, your newspaper boy bags, and then you'd be riding through the neighborhood, and depending on the subscription, some people wanted you to porch it. You had to, and when you're throwing, you have to get it and land it on their porch, but hopefully not break a flower pot. So I became an expert at tossing papers. Because the worst thing is if it's a porch account, right? And you miss the porch, like it ends up in a hedge or something. Now you got to stop, put the kickstand down, go dig the newspaper out of the hedge, and put it on the front porch. So you didn't really like the porch accounts. Well, every once in a while, if it wasn't a porch account, throw it, and you didn't realize it, but the paper would end up in a puddle, a mud puddle of some sort. Okay? Oh, that's right, Monica. Because of the weight of the bags, you got to really be careful when you park your bike. So, what we would find is a muddy paper in a puddle somewhere in the neighborhood. And that became what you would throw at the other kids. A muddy, wet newspaper. And schwack! Once you got hit with it, you're it. Now you have to pick up muddy newspaper and chase all the other kids until you could thwack one at them. And you had to be at least 5 feet away when you threw it. You couldn't walk up and hit them with it. So you had to you'd come home, every kid came home with at least 4 mud spots on them. That was how kids played back in the 60s, and early 70s. We didn't even need a ball. We just used a muddy newspaper. Anybody, were you guys crazy little kids like that? Playing fun games that you just could do? Climbing trees, making a tree house. Construction site about 3 blocks away. You'd go over there and you'd steal wood from the construction site, lug it home, and build a tree house. It would look so trashy in your front yard. 6 kids hanging out of the tree house. My parents, I don't know how they put up with us. Kimberly, you threw cow patties at each other. That's lovely. That's lovely. Tree houses are out now. Classic. Tree houses are over. I remember I had taken a sheet of plywood and I had leaned it against the trunk of the tree. And eventually we're going to put a rope to it and pull it up so we could add it because we were doing an addition to the tree house. Okay? We're going to make an addition to our tree house from stolen plywood. So the plywood's leaning up against the tree at an angle. And I lost my footing. And I'd start sliding down the upper branch to the next branch. This is on my butt, sliding out of my tree. And luckily, just at this, next thing you know, I'm sliding down, butt sliding down that plywood that was leaned against the tree. Thank good, and everyone in the neighborhood's watching. They're, whoa. Thank goodness that the plywood was there, leaned up at just the particular spot it was, or I would have fallen the last 8 feet out of the tree and potentially really hurt myself. But instead, I did the plywood slide. Classic, I was always doing something irony. Iron Polly. That was a wild one. I did the plywood slide. Okay. I honestly can still see the slide in slow motion as I'm coming down the tree. Crazy kids. You kids are crazy. It does, Classic. That's a very good point. Terror slows it down. The time I went over the cliff in the VW, I can still see it in slow motion. That one right there, the plywood slide, I can still feel it in slow motion. It's a good point. Terror, leaves an imprint. Mary Michael's surprised we still have eyes. Right? Everything we did was you're gonna poke your eye out. BB gun wars, we would do those too, this was before paintball. And you would put on 4 pairs of pants and a bunch of sweaters, padding. And then usually maybe a football helmet, something like that. And then you just chase each other around the neighborhood, shooting BBs at each other. Can you imagine today if there was a kid outside, 2 kids outside, having a BB gun war? Can you even imagine it right now? Kids having a BB gun war. The parents would go straight to jail. Bonus points if you blew. The stuff we did when we were, they don't let you do anymore. Was. My mom called me and asked what I was doing today. I told her, I'm sitting right here in front of the television watching it, but pretty soon I'm going to grab some scissors and go run, Mom. That's lovely. What a lovely son. Bottle rockets. Oh, I can't even tell you how much damage we did with cherry bombs. I don't even know if you can find a cherry bomb today. Can you still get a cherry bomb? Are cherry bombs still available out there? Are they still available? Derek says, of course they are, Pops. How many? It was elementary school. Those 3 or 4 of us, no good kids, certainly not being impeccable, and dropped cherry bomb. Of course, everyone's done this, to the toilet in the boys' room. Why? Why, boys? Why do boys have to do that? Why is it so important to a boy to blow something up? Okay? Monica went strong. M80s. M80s were really hard to find. We did stink bombs too. Did you ever do a stink bomb? Did you ever do a stink bomb? Do you remember stink bombs? Okay, real quick. You get a pack of matches, right? And you take the head off of all of the matches in the pack, just the head. And you have a small piece of aluminum foil, and you take some powdered sulfur from your chemistry set, which you all had, the Gilbert chemistry set, and we would put a little, half a teaspoon of sulfur in all these match heads, and then you'd wrap it up in the aluminum foil, and then you'd go out somewhere and you would throw it as hard as you could at the ground near someone's feet. And that would spark the the match heads, which caught fire to the sulfur. Next thing you know, you got a whole sulfur thing going. Boy, that was safe. Cleaning his tennis balls. That's advanced. Why are we talking? Why were we such bad kids? How did we survive? Like Mary Michael said, we still have our eyes. We still have our eyes. How did that happen? Jesus Christ. Isn't it funny to look back? Give me 5 people who think it's fun to look back. Every once in a while, we gotta look back with just humorous nostalgia. You know, these kids nowadays, they're missing out. Don't you think, Wazzy? The kids nowadays, they're missing out. Ice cream, that's a good line. Real minute genius. You gotta look back once in a while, right, Kimmy? Okay. Oh, that's some funny stuff. Okay, thanks for walking backwards with me this morning. Good morning, everybody. I'm so grateful and glad to be here. Okay? You gotta be a little reckless, Greenie. You got to. You gotta come out of childhood with a scar. You know, you're gonna get scars later on for other things, but get yourself a little game scar of some sort. Laws, I don't know. The kids today. But it makes us sound old and curmudgeonly. I don't mean to be get off my lawn guy. I'm not that guy. But I just want to see kids play more outside. Okay? Hey, 'cause that was the best line. We still have our eyes. Okay. Oh, we did some crazy stuff. I'll tell you guys some other stories about Pops, the teenage criminal, some other day. Okay? That's great, Niffy. I'm glad to hear that. Good parenting. I'll tell you guys some more stories about Pops, the teenage criminal. Man, we did some stuff, didn't we? I never left. After 8 o'clock at night, I never used the front door of my house. Did you know that? Greenie, right? You're already saying it. I never used the front door. I went out the window of my bedroom. I got stuff to do out here. I did the typical put the pillows under the blanket thing to make it look like there was a body in there. I don't know if I spent very many nights in bed. I was always out the window doing something in the neighborhood. Why? Why couldn't I just sleep like a regular person? Why'd I have to I was out the window. My window is my door. Okay? Waz, you were always getting caught. My parents were the exact opposite. Okay? Gypsy too. My parents they slept heavy and long. You could get out and get back, and they never knew you were gone. You tell my mom stories later on. She goes, "You did that? No, you did that? Yeah, Mom, you were sleeping." Best times of childhood is when your parents are sleeping. Herbie was a Black Ops operator in his teenage years. Oh. Four-leaf is climbing down the balcony. What is wrong with us? Kids don't climb out windows anymore, Ice Cream. I don't think they do. I haven't seen a kid climb out a window in a long time. Gypsy, I did that too. I would push it out of the driveway, grab the keys, push it out of the driveway and let it drift down to about halfway down the block, and then bump start it, because it was in stick shift. And then come home and I'd kill the ignition about 20 yards away from the driveway and drift in silently. Do the silent drift in. Okay? It took timing. Okay? It took timing. You had to get it down the block before you start it, and then kill it as you're bringing it home. Okay? Why am I admitting this? I guess because we're going to talk about being impeccable later. Ice Cream, that's called an insertion, a Black Ops insertion. Yeah, and then in the window, and I'm good. Jesus Christ, this car backfired and you got caught. You guys make me really laugh. Okay. All right. Gypsy, you haven't stolen a car in a while? Me either. I was a car thief. The only cars I ever stole were out of my own driveway, though. I never actually stole another car. I wanted to learn how to hotwire really bad, but I never got there. It would have been cool if I'd have learned how to hotwire. I missed that class in my teenage years. Okay? Let's get to work. The growing fad of microdosing. The growing fad of microdosing is leading to an uptick in poison-controlled center calls and emergency room visits. Duh. Jesus Christ, I took a class on locksmithing so I could pick locks. No kidding. I could pick a simple lock. I can. I literally took a class. How do you pick locks? Who does that unless they're a locksmith? The car thief. I did, Niffy. Who does that? Woz does it. Oh man, see? We don't. I haven't used the skill in a long time, Queenie. Queenie, the fact that there's even a class. There's a class. Okay. You guys are making me laugh. I just want to talk about childhood for the rest of the show. Okay? Imagine you purchase a bag of gummies called nootropic, a term used to describe substances that claim to enhance mental ability and function. Or they're also called smart drugs. I believe you, Kim. However, within hours of consuming them, your heart starts racing, you're nauseated and vomiting. Then you begin convulsing and have a seizure, resulting in a trip to the hospital. You certainly did not expect to have such a severe reaction to an over-the-counter edible product, which is available online and in herbal vape shops nationwide. What happened? So-called microdosing of mushrooms has been on the rise for the past few years. This is me talking about the other side of the story. We talk about the positive benefits, but we also want to raise awareness to the things that are out there that are misrepresentations of what we're trying to do. There's a real decent article. It's got some good information. Follow me along. The microdosing has been on the rise over the past years. Microdosing involves, as we know, the ingestion of small quantities of psychoactive mushrooms, less than a regular dose, and not in sufficient quantities to induce a trip or a psychedelic experience, but to boost mood, creativity, concentration, or productivity. This greater acceptance of mushrooms and psychedelics has led to a growing market for edible products containing non-hallucinogenic mushroom species that are appearing on the shelf at grocery stores, vape shops, even gas stations, with claims that these products improve mental function. To meet demand, manufacturers are also turning to other types of mushrooms, including both psychoactive and non-psychedelic, some of which are potentially more toxic. But key pieces of information are often missing for consumers to make informed decisions about which products they consume. The author of this article: I am a natural product scientist at Pennsylvania State University, where my lab specializes in understanding, this is the cool part of the article, where my lab specializes in understanding the molecules found in plants, mushrooms, and other natural resources, and how they can benefit or harm our health. That sounds like a great lab. I would love to work there. Our team actively researches these small molecules to uncover how they can address infectious and chronic diseases, but the team also monitors them for toxic or adverse effects on human health. While nootropic products have potential to boost health, there can be little transparency surrounding many commercial mushroom products, which can have dangerous consequences. The main psychoactive compound of traditional magic mushrooms, found in the genus Psilocybe, are psilocybin and psilocin. These two small molecules are alkaloids that activate receptors in our brain to trigger the main psychoactive effects of magic mushrooms. Both psilocybin and psilocin have high therapeutic index, meaning they are generally non-toxic in humans because the amount that must be ingested to be fatal or dangerous is more than 500 times the dose at which it has been shown to be therapeutically effective. You would have to take 500 times an effective therapeutic dose in order to come close to an overdose. Therefore, psilocybin-containing mushrooms are generally considered to have a very low potential for acute toxicity in humans, to the point where it is believed to be nearly impossible to achieve a toxic dose from oral consumption. If you're working with real psilocybin and real psilocybe mushrooms and not a packaged product, it's, according to the science, it's virtually impossible to take a toxic dose. That's your first sign about what you're taking. With the growth and popularity of psychedelic mushrooms, companies have been looking for ways to meet consumer demand, meaning they want to make money. Companies have also been looking for, and in some cases, this has meant finding mushrooms that don't contain psilocybin, and therefore they're not restricted by the FDA. The result has been an increase in products that come without legal entanglements, which means their products contain other types of mushrooms, including lion's mane, chaga, reishi, maitake, and amanita, which can also be hallucinogenic. Danny Singleton. Amanita mushrooms are the quintessential white-flecked, red-capped toadstools, the stereotypical image of a mushroom. These fungi contain very different compounds compared to the psilocybe mushroom, such as muscarine and ibotenic acid. These compounds function differently in the brain, and while they're also capable of producing psychedelic experiences, they're generally considered to be more toxic. Nootropic, and by the way, this is spelled N-O-O, tropic. That's what they're calling this packaged gummies and all. They're calling it nootropic products. Nootropic and other mushroom products are often found in edibles, including chocolates and gummies. However, there is little enforcement surrounding the ingredient label of such dietary supplements. Products that have a proprietary blend of ingredients generally do not have to report individual ingredients to the specific levels. This protects trade secrets regarding unique blends of ingredients, but it can also obscure the actual composition of some edible nootropic and microdosing products. And this can have dangerous consequences. The explosion, is this interesting to you guys? The explosion of nootropic mushroom products has led to a wide variety of products on the market that potentially contain wildly differing levels of mushrooms, many times containing blends of multiple mushroom species. And with little reporting guidelines in effect, it can be hard to know exactly what you're taking. One case study in Virginia involved 5 people who were hospitalized after they ingested gummies from different nootropic brands that were labeled to contain muscarine, muscimol, and ibotenic acid, all of the compounds found in Amanita. A follow-up analysis of locally available gummy brands that contained mushroom nootropic ingredients revealed more the presence of caffeine, the stimulant ephedrine, and mitogen, a potential painkiller found in Southeast Asian plants like kratom. None of these ingredients were listed on the product label. Therefore, the cocktail of mushrooms and substances that these people were exposed to was not reflected on the label at the time of purchase. The increase in use of other potentially toxic mushrooms in over-the-counter products has been reflected in reported poisoning cases in the United States. In 2016, out of more than 6,400 mushroom-related poisoning cases in the U.S., only 45 were Amanita mushrooms. In the past few years, since certain states began decriminalizing psilocybin, the U.S. has seen an increase in calls and reports to poison control centers of people feeling nauseous, vomiting, seizures, cardiovascular symptoms, and other adverse effects after eating edible mushrooms that include products such as chocolates and gummies. This promoted a multi-state investigation beginning in 2023 that uncovered over 180 cases in 34 states of people who had ingested a particular brand of mushroom-based edibles, Diamond Shrooms. A 2024 recall required that stores remove these products from their shelves. And in late 2024, the FDA put out a letter to consumers and manufacturers of the dangers associated with Amanita mushrooms, saying they do not meet the recognized as safe standard. And Amanita mushrooms are unapproved food additives. Despite this warning, such products are still available from producers. Even when a product is labeled with the relevant ingredients, mushrooms are notoriously easy to misidentify when collected. Numerous mushroom species have similar shapes, colors, and habits. I missed what's going on with Justin, I'm sorry. But despite their visual similarities, these different mushrooms can have drastically different chemistry and toxicity. This even plagues foragers of culinary mushrooms, with hundreds of emergency department visits due to fungal misidentification every year in the U.S. There is little current regulation or oversight for species identification in dietary supplements or over-the-counter mushroom edible products, leaving consumers at the mercy of producers to accurately list all raw products and ingredients on the product label. Be very careful is basically what the whole article is saying. I'm thinking, Danny, avoid the Amanita, unless you really know what you're doing there. I'm thinking avoid the Amanita that's growing in our yards. It's got too many risks. And the ultimate message here is know your provider. What I'm loving to see here and growing, I love seeing people that are grinding their shrooms and making their own capsules. I'm thinking that's an amazing thing. And thank you, Jolie. And it's amazing because you're going to end up taking one of those capsules to promote your creativity. But aren't you already being creative? Aren't the mushrooms already helping you be creative? You haven't even taken a capsule yet. and you're being creative. Let's talk about being right, Kim? And that's so important to our brain. And we get this sense of self-satisfaction. And you can always end up with extra. And when you end up with extra, what do? Remember that, Higgs? Remember when you did those? Higgs, we did a cap class at my house. I forgot about that, Hagee. That's right. Cap class. What do you do if you have extra? Hoard it. Of course. What do you mean? There's no such thing as extra. Okay. So you've been creative and you're being generous. That sounds kind. I would rather make my own than buy them from a gas station and not know what the hell's in it. I love what you guys are all doing here. You're all giving it away. You guys are all giving it away. Now let us see what the word impeccability means. We're on page 31. We're in the first of the 4 agreements. The 4 agreements. I have a capsule making machine that does 400 at one time now. 400. It's the same machine as you do the 25 and the 100. It's a different size. But I have a 400. Boom. Almost as fast as you can make 100, I can pop a 400 pack on you. Flex. Darn machine costs almost $200. Big, beautiful plexiglass pieces of work. I can't believe it cost me that much money, but I've saved that much money just in time. Yeah. A 400 lot. Boom. I'll have 400 ready for you in about 20 minutes, ma'am. Okay? Big flex. Now let us see what the word impeccability means. Impeccability. Marky, it's paid for itself well over. Impeccable. What does the word mean? It's generally an adjective. It's defining the noun, defining the object. Usually the human's the object. In the case of the agreements, I'm the object. Impeccability defines me. So in terms of parts of speech, it's an adjective. What does it mean? It means in accordance with the highest standards. The highest standards of propriety. Faultless. To be without fault or error. Flawless and exemplary. It implies a near state of perfection where actions, words, or even a person's character are without shortcomings or blemishes. Have a great day, Higgs. Snap. When you read something like that, it makes it sound like it's impossible. It's impossible to be that perfect. When we look at a word like impeccable, the prefix I am in front of a word means without or not having. So when we see the word, the prefix I am in front of a word, In most cases, it means without. So if we're talking impeccable, it's without peccable. If we're talking immaturity, and immaturity is without maturity. If we're talking impossible, it means it's not possible. It's impossible. It's without possibility. So the prefix I am is very important in this word. Because everybody can be peccable. But can we be impeccable? A couple of synonyms of the word impeccable. Faultless. Flawless. Perfect. Immaculate. Irreproachable. These are all lofty goals. Give me 5 people that aspire to some of those goals. I want to be faultless. I want to be flawless. I want to be irreproachable. I didn't say I am, but I did say I want to be. What we're finding is the more we want to be and the harder we work at it, the more you become it. If you act as if something, you become it. That's the challenge. This is why they say that's the hardest of all of the 4 agreements, and it's the most important. And at no point as we teach the 4 agreements to each other do we say that we're perfect. We say we're practicing it. We're practicing it. We're entirely aware of our goal. We're completely and totally aware of what we want. And we're working towards it. Just the path towards it is holy. It's certainly the opposite of the kid stealing the car from his mom and dad's driveway. That kid didn't even consider impeccable. If that kid was considering impeccable, he would have never climbed out the window. He would have just practiced. Impeccability. It almost sounds unachievable, but I'm here to say it isn't the achievement that matters. It's the pursuit of the achievement. Does that make sense? Give me 5 people that makes sense to. It's the consistent, constant pursuit that causes the holiness, not the end result. We're going to stay human till the day we die. We're going to make a mistake. We're going to miss the mark here and there. When we're made it incredibly part of our intention to practice in being impeccable today, one day at a time. It's too big to look into the future and say, I'll never be impeccable for the rest of my life. I'm not talking about the rest of my life. Any good addict knows once you look at the rest of your life, you quit and you just go back to drinking and using. It's too big a picture. Any of the good addiction programs teach you don't look that way. Don't look in the future. Stuff gets too big. It looks too big. Just practice today. Sometimes we have to practice one text at a time. I'm not going to send that text. That wouldn't be impeccable. I'm going to delete it before I hit send. I'm going to consider what I said, and I'm not going to say it. I'm going to consider what I was about to do, and I'm not going to do it. because that wouldn't be impeccable, and that's my goal. And when we pursue things with a passion and an honest intention, something pure, it's easy to get there. Not there, but it's easy to be on the way there. I now find it easier to try to be kind than try to be mean. It's now easier to try to be kind than to be mean. Being mean hurts my soul. When I look back at the end of the day and I find out I did something that wasn't impeccable, I'm hurt by that. My internal goodness soul is hurt by that. It says, I don't want that hurt anymore. I don't like that pain. The best way to avoid that pain is don't do that again. Right, Niffy? Sin. There's a big... We talked about sin briefly yesterday. We'll talk about it a little bit more tomorrow. It's so important to grasp this concept. Sin isn't something that's supposed to bring us guilt. The dream of the world told us, when you sin, you're supposed to feel guilty. I'm here to say when you sin, you're supposed to change. When you sin, you're supposed to try again. Because sin isn't about you and being bad. You're a bad boy. You sinned. That's the way it's delivered in the world. We're not bad. We've never been bad. We practice bad things. We pulled cars out of the driveway. But that doesn't make the kid that's in the car a bad person. He's doing a bad act. And when it becomes part of his consciousness to not want to be, and to miss the mark that badly again, I can practice being impeccable. But we've taught each other you're bad. And then you start wearing the bad badge. And most people that are told are bad continue to be bad because they were told they're bad. You don't tell your children they're bad. Don't do it. Explain to them where they missed the mark and give them another shot. Let us look at what the word impeccability means. I have about 5 minutes left. Impeccability means, am I right, Gypsy? We implant the idea in people from youth that they're bad. You do this, you're bad. You should feel guilty for that. No, I should find out that I was a human and I could do it differently. I wish I had a coach that would show me how. But I'm living in a house where everybody tells each other they're bad. Impeccability means I am without. Peccable means to sin. It comes from the Latin peccatus, which means to sin. The in means without. So impeccable means without sin. Religions talk about sin and sinners, but let's understand what it really means to sin. Here's your definition. It's my new definition. I'm not using the Baltimore Catechism anymore, where my sins are all categorized, and I got to figure out which one I did, and then I got to go and say a bunch of Hail Marys and Our Fathers to wipe my soul clean. Leave a few bucks in the collection box. I remember we grew up Catholic. Every Saturday, because you're going to go to Holy Communion on Sunday. We were pretty strict Catholics. We we would go down to the church, the parish church, and go to confession on Saturday. Line of people there, waiting to go into the closet with the priest. And then you'd go in there and he'd slide the screen, and you could only see him, but he could see you, I think. I don't know if he could see me or not. They ended up knowing me, though. Is it you again, Kirby? Yes, Father Schneiders. I remember this. But you know what I did when I was a kid? You're going into the confession. It's Saturday. You're on your way. And I know I got to tell the priest something that I did this week. I got to confess something. And when we did confession, so your soul would be clean, so you could take communion on Sunday, Holy Eucharist. If you didn't take confession on Saturday, your soul is dirty, and you really shouldn't you shouldn't put something holy in yourself if you're dirty. Well, it never really clicked all the way for me, because what if I sinned after confession but before Holy Communion? What happens then? They should have done confession like right before Mass. Don't give you a chance to go pop another sin in there. And it was crazy because you were expected to tell the priest something bad that you had done during the week, because you're a sinner and you're in confession. Right? So you got to go straight to bed cleaning, and you got to get your clothes, your church outfit on, and go. Don't leave them any room to sin. Okay, so this is the way it worked with the Catholic. What I did, and I bet I'm not the only one. This is the first time I've ever told this story in public. On Saturday mornings, before we would get in the car to go to confession, I would write my list of what I'm going to tell the priest. I manufactured sins just so I had something to say. And then there were plenty of sins during the week that I had done, according to the sin calculator, that I didn't even remember. Okay, so I told my mom and dad 3 lies. I don't know if it was 3, I just put down 3. I hit my brother twice. It was probably more. I pinched my baby sister and made her cry. I mean, I would write stuff down. I can't go into confession without having something to tell Father Schneiders. Okay? And I always put a number to it. I was like... My confessions were 90% made up. The real 90% I actually forgot. Did you make stuff up too? I totally made stuff up. I mean, it sounds sinny. Like this, and it's not that bad a one. You know, the old pinch of sister, I think I used that one a few times to fill in a blank. Okay, Nippy, I wasn't about to tell my real sins. So here you are in confession, lying. You're doing the exact opposite of what you're in confession for. Now, if that isn't foggy, if that isn't matote, if that isn't the dream of the world, I don't know what is. Okay, I don't know. It couldn't be foggier. I gotta go get holy so I can take Holy Communion. So what lies should I tell the priest today? I laugh, but it's ironically sad. Institutionalized that kind of action. That was an institution. Still alive today. Still doing the same stuff out there. We'll talk a little bit more about this. We've run out of time here today. Don't make up a phony list. Okay? Right, Jolie? Why are we expected to sin? I know. And then you walk out of there and you always had like, you have to go sit and kneel in a pew somewhere and say 10 Hail Marys, 4 Our Fathers, and a Glory Be, and you're magically clean. It's ridiculous. I'm not talking about religions. As much I clearly was talking about Catholic here, but every religion does that. Man-made stuff does that. We don't really understand sin. We were taught sin so wrong. And when we grasp what sin really is, we'll go deeper into it. Spend a little more time tomorrow. When we grasp what sin really is, we find out, being impeccable isn't that hard. It isn't. And I don't have to make up a phony list every Saturday and have somebody wipe sins off of me. I don't have to do that anymore. So let's get into this a little more tomorrow. Yeah? Give me 5 people. We didn't get very far into impeccability today, but I wanted to lay the groundwork for how silly the world has turned sin. And then how dangerous. How dangerous. Kids bringing little crib notes into the closet with them to rat themselves out for stuff they didn't do. And the priests are co-signing that, our spiritual leaders. Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do in here. Some of the things we were taught are pretty crazy, you guys. So we're going to unlearn them here and practice something completely different. And it's not going to be religion. It's just going to be a new way of thinking for mental wellness and health. That's what we're going to practice. 4 things. Be impeccable. Not only your words, but your actions. Don't take things personal. Not only other people's words about you, but their actions towards you. Don't have expectations. Give freely without expecting anything. This is a difficult one. And do your best. Don't make up a phony list. If you do have a list of things you want to work on, make it a real list. And we'll work on those little, one thing at a time. And there's no guilt. And there's no judging. And there's no victim. Because if you remember what we say here, justice means I pay for my mistake. I didn't say sin. Justice means I pay for my mistake one time. After that, I move on in my life, and I don't dwell on what a bad person I am. Because I'm not. Neither are you. We're mistaught. So we're going to reteach it. We're going to reclaim the idea of sin here. And I love it, because it set me free. This very first part of this book right here is the beginning of what set me free. Was understanding that I'm not a sinner. I'm a human. And I'm on a path, I'm on a spiritual path. And I love it. I want to stay on this path for the rest of my life. And grow and grow and grow. And when I make a mistake, I'll address the mistake. One at a time. Once. You guys get out of here and go have a beautiful, beautiful, wonderful, beautiful, beautiful, wonderful day. And I'll see you here tomorrow. Thank you for being here. Thanks for all the support I received from everybody yesterday. It was later in the day. I calmed down. But I was a little bit of a wreck yesterday morning. And I just looked back at the end of my day yesterday and said, you sure were human today, Pops. And there's no guilt and shame in it. You're just a human. Do your best, pups. Do your best. And everything else will work out. Thank you, guys. Have a beautiful, wonderful day. Doing your best. Married Michael and Jesus Christ and Derek Anderson and Mark Zamarin and Dawn, if you're listening. Derek Anderson and Jesus Christ and JK. He's not here. JK, you wrote me a beautiful letter. If you're watching later today, thank you. Herbie and Married Michael and JC and Kimberly. He certainly does. Marky and Herbie and Mike Buddy Ball. Good morning, Mike. Nippy. Nip, I loved your comments today. Derek Anderson, thank you too, Joe Dees. Cat Meowzilla. Kimberly and Brian C. Niffer Mama, I'm so glad you were. I had a place to go yesterday, Niff. We've created a safe space for each other here. Sare Bear and Carnivorous. Clean Grow. Sammy P and Paige. Thank you, Paige. Gypsy, you have a wonderful day. Jolie, you too. Sare Bear and Nippy. Kimberly, loving you. JC, Cleany, that's my guy. Pacers, Married Michael, Notorious Skate. Justin LaFlower. Pacers, Vaggie, Hive Eggs. Derek Anderson, Herbie Malworthy Kebab. Joe D's, Lucky Lures. Greenie, love to have you here. Jimmy Maxwell. Michael Sean T. Patterson. Mark Zamarin, Jesus Christ, Married Herbie, Jesus, Pilar. Good morning, Pilar. Justin, and I'm glad I got a chance to say, Laura, have a divine day. Pops, peace, love. Be kind. You're not a sinner. Out.